Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to business. So, Noel Robinson's welcome. Thank you. Sir Woolf Fisher, what I've read about him, he was a man of the people despite his success.
He certainly was. He was a very honest and down-to-earth person, loved work, loved his staff and his people, and was just a very humble man.
His involvement, his passion for horses, they knew no bounds at the end of the day.
Well, you know, he started off when he first bought the Raora at Waipuna Road in Mount Wellington. He was engaged at that stage to Joyce, and he told Joyce's father, George Pikel, he said, I bought a farm which I want to make a stud farm out at Waipuna Road. And George Pikel said, there's no way any of my daughters going to live so far out of Auckland.
A little bit different now, isn't it? In terms of your knowledge of Sir Woolf Fisher, was his passion for business, or was it really, would he rather read the racing page rather than the business page?
I think the horse racing business was his real passion. I was fortunate to go with him on an overseas trip with Gary and Liz Pikel in 1961, and the trip was organised. We had to go to the Hollywood Gold Cup, then we had to go to Lexington, and we went to the stay with Alex Head and Deauville, and then across to the Derby, and then in between times, if there was time, we'd do a bit of business.
A little bit of business in between. Very successful, you know, at business. His legacy lived on. I mean, he kept Raora going, didn't he? That was part of the whole of the will, etc.
He was a great visionary, and in his will, it was quite surprising. He said he wanted the stud to keep going while Lady Fisher was alive. But once Lady Fisher had stopped interest in it, he wanted to put it in all the money into education. And so that's what happened. Once Lady Fisher stopped breeding horses, the Woolf Fisher Trust was formed, and now the trust has sent over 1,200 teachers and their family on overseas study trip. There's at least 13 people doing degrees at Cambridge, and in South Auckland, 50 a year go through, get scholarships to go through South Auckland through AUT.
The legacy of Sir Woolf lives on.
It does.
What's the value of Raora these days? Would it be?
It's a wee bit.
How much? Just put a price on before I talk to Mr. Law.
It's well over 8 figures.
Is that $1.5 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
$1.5 billion. Gee whiz. Brian Delore, you were very much involved with Raora Studs. Excuse me, no, I'll just sneak in between you. What's your memories?
Oh, it was a wonderful time. When I got there in 1985, the industry was really flying along. The economy was going very well, and there was a lot happening, and there was a lot of new mares coming into the country. It was the antithesis of what we have today, really. It was flying. It was great times, and it was probably, I spent 7 years there, and it was a great 7 years, and I was privileged to be there.
You know, I got to sell because of Raora buying Sackford. They sent Joe Walls up to buy Sackford, and in December of 1984, I stood up with the great and Hall of Famer Peter Kelly to sell at a sale here in Waikato.
Yeah, well, Sackford was our big hope, and he didn't do as well as we had hoped, but we had Famous Star the same year. They stood their first season in 1985, and Famous Star became champion sire, and champion sire a 2-year-old, so we did quite well with him. And it was only a year and a half after Sovereign Edition had died, so it was great to get some good horses. We had Imposing at that stage as well.
All right, Graham, come to join you. Your involvement with Sir Woolf Fisher.
Well, as one of the trustees, I worked with Noel over the 40-odd years as we worked our way through the issues of running a stud in the 80s and 90s and 2000.
All right, and Chris, you're up here. You came up you wanted to say a few words about Sir Woolf.
Well, I only met Sir Woolf once in my life when I was 15 years of age, and my father had taken a broodmare up to Raora Stud on a Saturday morning. But later in life, I was privileged to be secretary of his estate and also a director of the farm, and I got to know these gentlemen very well. I can recall one occasion which I thought was very, very unique. The stud stood 2 stallions, Nassapore, who was champion sire of Australia, and Straight Strike, who was champion sire of New Zealand, and they stood those 2 horses at the very same time at the stud.
Right. Well, my thanks to you, and my thanks to Paul Wilcox, CEO of Auckland Racing Club, for sponsors tonight. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Woolf Fisher.